Hello everybody and welcome back to Victoria, where last episode we paid off our debt, and that's fantastic. There was also a patch in the time between these episodes that is patch 1.04 here. Let me just switch over to a display capture here, and we can go over what was in that real quick. This is definitely going to be the wrong display. There we go. This will be the right one. Fantastic. I apologize if this is a little small. I can't really zoom in on it on the Steam patch notes, unfortunately. But we can go over a few of the changes here. It's not a major thing. The petite bourgeoisie now cares about government wages. Okay, fair enough. Slashing government wages will now reduce prestige. Ours are already slashed. We'll have to see how that's implemented. Slashing military wages will now reduce training rate. Fair enough. Debt slavery can now enslave pops up to wealth level 9. Okay. Reduce the max number of pops enslaved each week by debt slavery. Okay. Will no longer enslave additional pops when it's 20% or more of the state population. Sure. And we tweaked the subsistence production in decentralized nations so African pops don't start at starvation levels. Fair enough. Increase the chance of progressive political movements appearing over the course of the game. Movements to preserve now have a larger effect on the chance for a law to stall, making it harder to pass laws opposed by powerful groups. Political movements for or against changes in slavery and government principles laws will now be more radical. Reduce base effect of propagandist intelligentsia trait from 50 to 25%, and reduce the effect of guaranteed liberties on loyalists and radicals' growth. There's also some changes to colonization, including native uprisings getting a significant bonus to their combat capabilities, sure. AI is a bit less likely to back down and a bit more likely to get involved. Okay, cool. So it's a small update. That's all well and good. Let's hop back over here. And that's absolutely great. So we are currently, if I can get all this closed, there we go. We are currently running a surplus. And we just finished up our chemical plants. So, we have some input goods shortages, specifically construction, or rather explosives. I did want to check in on our budget and see how this is implemented. Okay, so it's just minus 20% prestige. Which of these is prestige? Radical population, standard of living, authority, bureaucracy, influence. Where do we actually see our prestige at? It is... That's our armed forces. Yeah, those are our interests. How much prestige the country has. Right. Apparently we don't have any prestige, I think. Let's scroll all the way down to the bottom here. I'm a little bit surprised that there was no sub-tooltip for prestige there. I was expecting a sub-tooltip. I'm not immediately finding prestige. Ah, here it is. So that's what determines our rank. Got it. So it doesn't seem to be too bad, to be honest. That said, with us being out of debt, we could think about increasing our government wages. This would increase it by 12.2k and 7.64k. Consider it done. This would reduce too much to drop our taxes, so we're not going to do that right now. And we'll see what those input goods shortages do here. So that'll be okay for the moment. We do have a couple of states in turmoil. We're working on it. So looking at our explosives at this point. That's fertilizer there. Let's sort by balance. Other direction. There we go. That would help. Minus 151. Minus 141. It'll continue to improve. And for the moment, we are working up our investment pool, so I don't really mind that right now. That seems completely fine. We're still running an input goods shortage here. And, okay, now we're not. It just went away. Fantastic. So that was exactly what I'd hoped to see. So let's sort by market price and see what we've got going on here. The price of explosives is dropping. We could really use some silk. So we could definitely get ourselves an import route of silk here from the Piedmontian market. Done. And hopefully that will drop the price of silk somewhat. That does, hopefully, yeah, that definitely did something. Yeah, silk dropped down pretty dramatically there. So we've got a pretty big deficit on clothing for right now. Let's take a look at what constructing some textile mills would end up looking like. And our textile mills that exist right now, actually, this is reasonably profitable. Reasonably profitable indeed. I think we could get away with building 2 simultaneously right now. Yes, that's what we'll do for the moment. 22 weeks until those are expanded. Beautiful. So that's great. Now, explosives are still up there. And I want to check in. Do we have for our chemical factories, our chemical plants, rather, do we have those fully, not enough qualifications to fully staff? Only if we build that, though. So if we look at our existing chemical plants in Westphalia and Brandenburg. Got it. Okay, so our buildings here, I want to look at our chemical plants. Okay, that's basically fully employed. Its cash reserves are dropping slightly, but that's fine. In Brandenburg, the explosives plant is also reasonably employed. Its cash reserves are going down slightly as well. That's fine for now. I don't mind that. Cool. But I just wanted to check on our production speed there. So now I want to hop into our buildings and make sure that our chemical plants are producing in the way that we want them to. So let's see here. Chemical plants. So we're currently running artificial fertilizers. And we could actually move up to the ammonia soda process. We will definitely do so. Beautiful. Any other changes that we can make in here? For the time being, this is all looking reasonably good. Cool. Okay. Yeah, that's looking great. So we're going to run out of our investment pool here pretty soon. But that's fully expected. We've got another about a week and a third until we run out, but that's fine. We'll still be making cash. Oh, the graph is still broken. Good to know. That's very good to know. Cool. So all things considered, this is going reasonably well. We've got our economy back into a good spot. And that's absolutely great. Now, our government wages are very expensive. That's to be expected. Our goods for our government and military buildings, though, that's definitely something we want to reduce. That's a lot that we're spending on paper, to be honest. We are spending more on paper than we are on artillery right now. Noted. So if we were to construct some... Let's see here. Paper mills are in here somewhere. I'm probably just completely blind. There they are. I am indeed completely blind. Yes, we accept that defensive pact. Fieldworks have been unlocked. That's great. And at this point, all of this would make us decent amounts of money. So I'm going to build a couple of levels in, I think, Rhineland. Actually, there are no peasants there. I'm going to build a couple in Posen or Silesia. I think Posen. Silesia, we have a lot of, like, mines and such in that we wouldn't necessarily want to eat up all of the peasants for. So we're going to get those going. That's going to be quite expensive, though. We're going to be running a deficit for a little bit here. We do have some gold reserves banked up, so this is fine. This is actually not costing us all that much. Shockingly. But we'll get these textile mills done, and those will start making us additional money. Cool. So 3 weeks until that's complete, and once that's done, we should pop back into making money at this point. So we're spending about 50k on our construction goods. Got it. Most of that is on iron, which makes sense. How is iron doing right now in the market, anyway? Looks like it's doing reasonably well. I'm not very concerned about iron. We've got a surplus of iron right now, so that's all good. Hello, Ireland. Okay. So I definitely like to reduce our paper costs. That's for sure. 18.9k spent on paper. Insane. So if we're making money right now, we may want to consider building additional paper mills as well. Building those in, say, Prussian Anhalt. Building another 2 here. Now this is going to run us a deficit. I'm okay with this. Did I just see the Great Hunger move back? Interesting. Repeaters have been unlocked, allowing repeating rifles, hand-cranked machine gun, and bolt-action rifle. Cool. Let's hop into technology here. I'm more interested, I feel like, in... I mean, all of these would be good. All of these technologies are ultimately desirable, in my opinion. I mean, I don't know too much about the optimal paths and things like that. I'll feel that out over time. We can continue to work on our society, if we so desire. But for the moment, I think we are going to grab... plus 20% conscriptable battalions. That seems pretty good. We'll grab the enlistment offices for the moment. And we do have a sugar and a dye input goods shortage. This is an unproductive trade route, and we can definitely cancel that. Yeah, paper is expensive. I'm well aware. So we need sugar and dye. We're almost certainly not able to produce sugar here. Produced in rye farms, wheat farms, rice farms, maize farms, millet farms, and sugar plantations. Interesting. So it is actually produced here. Absolutely fascinating. So if we were to go into, then, our rye farms. We're producing potatoes. That is indeed what we're producing here. Okay. That's interesting. I'm guessing our best bet will be to import sugar from Austria. Okay. We're not a significant producer of sugar. That's completely fair. So, dyes. Dyes are produced by synthetic plants and dye plantations. We can't make synthetic plants, so we're going to have to import dye as well. It's unfortunate, but that will also come, for now, from the Austrian market. Okay, so we'll bring that in. And hopefully that'll help these input goods shortages. We may need more sugar and dye than what we've got coming in here. But for the time being, with us running a deficit, this'll do for now. We'll be finishing up some of these paper mills very soon. And out of curiosity, are we considered a significant producer of paper? Yeah, we're the number 4 producer worldwide. Quite far behind the other 3, to be fair, but we're the number 4 producer. Cool. So the Great Hunger is progressing here. It'll time out in 4 weeks, so actually the Great Hunger is going to be gone very shortly. And that'll be fantastic. We are spending down our gold reserves, but that's fine. I'm not concerned about it for the moment. We're going to be finishing up these paper mills around the same time the Great Hunger ends, which is great. Cool. Baking powder has been unlocked. So at this point, I definitely want to go through our buildings here and check. We can definitely run baking powder. Cool. What else do we have here? Repeating rifles. Consider it done. Let's go through our rurals. See if there's anything that we're missing here. Okay. Looks great. So that's all good. Standard of living has increased in Prussian Brunswick. The Great Hunger is, of course, done. And we are at this point banking gold back up. Cool. So artillery is currently expensive, and I would definitely like to produce an additional arms, or rather additional, not munitions plant, an arms industry. There we go. So it's profitable to build it in Rhineland. There's no peasants there. Let's go ahead and build it in Posen for now. Gonna build 2 of them. And we will run a deficit for a wee bit here, just until we finish up these paper mills. So that'll be fine. Cool. So our construction is underway here. Apparently there's an event over here in Bohemia. Our soldiers regularly perform maneuvers near the border of Austria. Having our troops parade all over the borders, if it were nothing to them, could be a useful display of power, especially if we frame it as an accident. A border is just a line drawn on a map. If it isn't guarded or defended, why should an enterprising nation not come along and tweak those borders? Okay, so Austria will be upset and get minus 20% prestige. It'll result in a diplomatic incident, giving 28 infamy to Austria and reducing their relations with 32 countries. Okay, so only one of these two will happen. Either way, this looks like it would be good for us. Do it. What could possibly go wrong? Okay, price of artillery is absolutely surging right now. And tools are currently expensive as well. The US just rivaled Austria. Now that's interesting. And France wants a trade agreement. We absolutely accept that. So we do need to deal with these tools issues, right? So I wouldn't mind getting some tooling workshops being built. Having those be built in, say, Silesia. We're running quite a deficit at this point. But I'm comfortable with this. This is fine. We may dip into debt a little bit here. But I'm really, really okay with this. We're going to be finishing up these paper mills in just 4 weeks. And that's going to be the bulk of our deficit here. So that'll be great. Our economy is definitely vastly improved. So that's great to know. Tools and artillery, we definitely need to continue to work on, of course. And paper. So 2 weeks until our paper mills are done. 1 more week now. And yeah, this deficit just plummets at this point. We're still chipping through our gold reserves. And at this point, it's going to take us quite a while to get through our remaining gold reserves, rather. 19 and 18 weeks and 15 weeks. Okay, yikes. So that's going to be a while. We're probably going to dip slightly into debt here. Probably. Let's check in quick on our goods for government buildings here. The price of paper has dropped a little bit, but we definitely need more. Of course, the price of artillery is currently way up there. Small arms and ammunition. I wouldn't mind dropping all of that. So let's continue to work on that for the moment. Tools are dropping in price. Coal is going... It's mostly holding steady, actually. Cool. Okay. So our arms factories are now going to be done in 12 weeks. Should be good. Now, one thing we can, of course, do is turn on auto expansion, right? So I believe we have to do that on a... Okay, we can do just like this. So if we turn on auto expansion, I want to see what actually ends up happening here. Okay, It expands a lot. That's very interesting. Let's turn on auto expansion for everything for the moment. Now, I'm almost certainly not going to do this in the future. I just want to see how it behaves. That's the primary goal here. And we're probably going to end up canceling a lot of these constructions. It's going to spend extremely heavily here. I'm quite certain of this. Okay, and a defensive pact? Sure. So how heavily is it going to expand here? We're now in debt, obviously. And we're going to be finishing up these arms industries shortly. I want to take a look here at what the requirements are for automatic expansion. So if we go in here and we look specifically, I think we need to go into like here. So auto expanding here. When the cash reserves is greater than 95%, market access is greater than 50%, and the remaining duration of the construction queue is short enough. Okay. So the cash reserves building up, of course, indicates that it's profitable, right? So in theory, that should be completely fine. We are going to go fairly heavily into debt doing this. That's a guarantee. But let's see what this actually ends up doing. It may be a mistake. We'll see. We have some expiring obligations. I honestly don't really care. I'm not going to utilize them at this moment. What's Austria at? 279 plus 151. Okay, compare that to us, who is at 166 plus 83. It's not... We're still lower than Austria. We have been this whole time. Really, this deficit doesn't feel that bad to me. Cool. So our textile mills are being expanded. Hey, maximum cash reserves. Cool. Leads to mutual funds as well. Okay. So 12 weeks until our furniture manufactories here are done. We have finished up some of our other productions, though. So if we look at our queue here, our arms industries, well, this one is expanding. But our other arms industries, not so much. Cool. So this is maxing out our construction queue for the moment. And I'm keeping an eye on our credit. We may have to pause construction at a certain time. But we are making good progress here. For sure. Netherlands may no longer be able to participate in diplomatic plays in the Danubia region. Interesting. So they're no longer interested in this region over here. I like it. Our influence is not necessarily great, but it is what it is. Price of ammunition is currently going up, but that's okay. We should, in theory, auto-expand if it's going to be valuable. And that's a bit of an if. But running this deficit right now should dramatically improve our economy in the long run. If I'm understanding those conditions correctly, which I believe I am. So we're going to be finishing up our furniture manufactories here very shortly. And we can see that our deficit has already started to shrink. We are pretty heavily in debt right now, to be sure. But once we're through this first round of auto expansion, this shouldn't be too bad. And that will allow us to focus on other things. I mean, we'll still have to worry about, like, expensive military goods and things like that. But otherwise, it should be fine. We did just queue up a bunch more. But like I said, once we're done with this first major round of expansion, things should improve economically. And if we have to pause construction, we can. So I think this is reasonably fine for the time being. And that should, in theory, also handle these expensive military goods. In theory. Anyway. So the tooling workshops finish up here. Or start to finish up anyway. And we can immediately see our construction queue is just kind of ongoing. For the moment. We're just holding our construction full. And that's fine. I am a little concerned about our deficit here. But overall, this should ultimately end up being a solid investment. In theory. We'll see how that ends up going. For now, our deficit has dropped a little bit. And if we were to look into our buildings here. Yeah, we can't really see from here. Okay. Productivity is 20 to 22. Yeah. Okay. Looks good. So that seems reasonably fine. Now, one thing that this is not going to auto-expand is our military. But this should, to some degree, automatically handle our economy. But like I said, it's going to heavily deficit spend. Okay, so we've got this here. People have been complaining about the difference in living standards between us and our neighbors in Hesse. I mean, it's simply an example of global economic inequality. There we go. Oh, City of Plenty. Fantastic. Luxurious parties, huh? I like loyalists. Okay. And with that, it is about time to put a cut in here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we'll see how we're feeling about this automatic expansion deficit. We may have to pause the construction, but in the long run, I believe that this will pay off. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including, if I can get over to my notepad, fantastic, Casserole, JJ Gamer, ALS Gamer, Kentuin, Atala, Jensgram, Spartan News, Nick Smarty, Video Games Are Not Real, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video. And as always, I will see you all next time.